This is a legendary Damascus patterned Tai Chi forged by Jesse Hu, the 9-time champion of the forged knife competition, who poured over a month of painstaking effort into its creation. Its entire body was formed through repeated twisting and tearing using top-tier techniques. The blade itself features patterns reminiscent of Jupiter's storms. Finally, it sold for $80,000, whose attention to detail is far more meticulous than ever before. He not only sealed the gaps in the steel billet with a welding machine but also soaked it in quenching oil, enough to prevent the billet from delaminating. When the soaked billet is heated, a protective film forms on its surface, stopping oxygen from seeping, enduring twisting and causing internal oxidation and delamination. For the first forging and welding, who plans to initially shape the billet into a square with 2 5-centimeter sides. This not only saves effort during twisting but also reduces risks. First, who used ordinary molds for basic forging and joining. He then added shims on both sides to ensure the dimensions meet standards and are consistent. After elongating it, he forged and pressed horizontally along the diagonal, making the internal patterns of the billet tighter. Building on the initial twist, who added a second twist, taking the central texture of the spiral patterns to the next level. He used a brush to clean surface impurities to keep them from entering the billet's interior. Then he performed the final twist to ensure the finished patterns are smooth and natural. Once the billet cooled, it could be initially shaped with a hydraulic press. For precise shaping, Hu still insisted on hammering it bit by hand. First, he used a hot cutting method to make the blade tip by cutting at an angle. Then he hammered the long side of the billet, bending it toward the short side to form the cutting edge. According to records, Hu intended to keep the total length of the knife around 90 centimeters. This meant he had to measure the blade length while forging and hammering. After several days of manual hammering, Hu's hands were covered in bruises. Thankfully, it got much easier after finishing the detailed adjustments to the blade. Next came 3 rounds of high-temperature heat treatment. After that, shaping was completed by grinding with a belt sander, followed by quenching. First, the blade was heated in a furnace at 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Once removed, it was quickly placed into a quenching furnace. By rapidly moving the blade blank back and forth, the steam barrier was broken, enhancing the quenching effect. The moment it was taken out was truly a sight to behold. Subsequently, a belt sander was used for detailed grinding and polishing of the blade. This process required keeping both arms steady. But that's not all. The complex blade also needed a round of manual grinding. After each part was polished, it was time to make the accessories. Hu chose high-toughness brass for the pommel and guard. The golden hue perfectly matched the blade. To echo the storm patterns on the blade, he decided to shape the guard like clouds. After drilling the necessary holes, it was polished and adjusted with a machine. For the handle material, Hu selected maple wood, different from his previous choices. He then used sheet metal to make decorative pieces for the top and bottom of the handle, which also served to protect it. Once done, a layer of leather was glued to the handle's surface for decoration. While waiting for the glue to set, Hu made 2 thunderbolt emblems to match the blade. Finally, wrap it with linen cloth. This effectively prevents slipping. When everything was ready, the blade was acided. Under the acid's action, the patterns emerged on the blade's surface. After rinsing off the ferric chloride solution, Hu added an extra step, coffee solution etching. This was to make the patterns more distinct. At this point, this storm pattern samurai sword is complete. The blade's smooth curves and intricate surface